Hey there, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if it is your first time here, and it might be your first time here, because today's video is a collaboration with Tania from Just Let Me Sew. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to have you here on my sewing channel. Like I said, today's video is a collaboration with Tania. Her channel is Just Let Me Sew, which I think might be my favorite channel name out of all of them because yes, just let me sew, please. So she is a fabulous creator. If you have not seen her channel or don't subscribe to her, definitely head over to her video after this and then check out some other videos on her channel. She sews a really good mix of Big Four and indie patterns. She is UK based, so a lot of her fabric sourcing and stuff is from UK companies, and she sews primarily for herself. She said that she is a selfish sewer, but I disagree. She also sews for her children, especially her daughter. She's sewn for her husband. She made him an Ilford jacket for Christmas that turned out beautifully. Definitely check out that jacket. And she's sewn for her sister and nieces, so she's definitely not a selfish sewer, in my opinion. The other thing I love about her channel, besides the actual things she creates, is that you can tell she has a background in education. She was a teacher and now has moved into kind of a different aspect of education and training. So she has that background and that way of explaining things that is just very approachable. She's very well-spoken. She's very thorough in her reviews, and she is really, really good at manipulating patterns and making them what she wants, because she can just manipulate things. She understands how features work, like adding something or taking something or modifying something, and she's definitely not scared to do it. She makes her clothes exactly what she wants them to be. So that is everything I think I have to say about Tania right now. She's wonderful. Go check out her channel after this video. The pattern we decided to sew is New Look 6434. Tania did view C, the sleeveless one, except she did not do the ruffle on the bottom, and then I did view D. It comes in sizes 10 through 22. It's New Look, so that is the entire size bucket. It's all in one packet, but that's all they offer, which covers a bust of 32.5 to 44 inches. The hips go from 34.5 to 46 inches. The finished bust, it says, is 37.5 inches to 49 inches. And then the only other finished garment measurement it gives you is the length from the base of your neck, which I rarely find helpful, but it's on all of the patterns. The suggested fabrics for A, B, and C are chiffon, cotton lawn, cotton types, crepe de chine, double georgette, silky types, or voile. And then for view D, which is actually the view I made, it has galloon edge lace, galloon edge eyelet. I did not do that. I sort of did, but I did not exactly do that. So there's a look at the pattern. I will include my measurements in the description box down below. I chose to do a size 18 at the top because I never feel like I have enough space in my arm size, and that worked out really well. It feels very comfortable up here. And then I pretty drastically and rapidly graded to a size 16 all the way down. I regret that. I should have just done an 18 all the way down, or 18, 16, 18, because my hips definitely fall into a higher size, maybe even kind of a 20. So I did have issues with that, which I'll talk about more when I show you the garment on me. First, I want to talk about the pattern instructions. So if you are familiar with the reputation of Big Four patterns, it's that their instructions are not good. And I don't know that I wholly agree with that. I've learned a lot from Big Four patterns, actually. I, for a long time, have sewn primarily Big Four patterns and have been just fine. Sorry for the changing lighting. I think we have a storm rolling in, so it's being pretty wonky. But so I don't think they're awful, and I think you can find a lot of resources online and things like that to help you figure out parts you don't understand. But I want to tell you a little story. How about that? I want to tell you a little story. So let's just notice that this is marketed as easy. I am so sorry. This storm is unexpected. This is easy, right? It's not marketed as learn to sew. It's not marketed specifically as beginner friendly or anything, right? It just says that it's easy, which I do agree with. McCall's, easy. Same parent company of Simplicity. This is the first pattern I ever sewed. I made it for my daughter. First pattern I ever did. It also does not tell you how to finish seams. Neither does this one. They have little blurbs of like, these are ways you can finish seams, but does not go into any more detail of how to do it. Now, for most of the seams that you're sewing, not a big deal. But this does have an opening in the back that you close with a button and elastic loop, which is very standard for woven shirts like this that don't have a wide neckline. You could do a zipper or the button and loop and stuff like that. So that is a seam where you are transitioning from the seam being sewn together to then needing to be open, right? Similar to this pattern, which has a zipper in the back. So I picked that up before I had delved into the world of YouTube and sewing, and I just wanted to sew something for my daughter. That's all I wanted. I went to Joann's, I bought this. Actually, I think my mom bought it for me. Not even on a sale weekend. That's how not familiar with sewing I was. Joann's has sales on Big Four patterns every weekend, pretty much. I did make this very cute romper for my daughter. She wore it, it was great, but none of the seams are finished. I had done some Googling. I knew I had to finish the seams, but I didn't understand that it had to be done before other steps, right? So I would get to a point, have something done, and then realize I couldn't go back and finish the seam. Now, on seams like the side seams, I don't really need hand holding for that, or I don't think it should have been expected that I would need hand holding for that. But this transition of that center back seam to the zipper, right? I had to leave it open. I basted it closed to put the zipper in and everything, but it had to transition from being a closed seam to then open for the zipper, which is the same situation as the back of this shirt. And I didn't finish it because I didn't know how to do it and I didn't know what to do with it. So thankfully I have learned since then, but I was the person that could potentially see this and pick it up thinking, oh, I can sew a shirt. That should be pretty easy. But not understand that there are these transition areas like the center back opening where you're gonna have to go from having a seam finished to then folded under. Let me show you the picture to illustrate it, because the pictures aren't helpful, like at all. Like that is showing me nothing about how I'm finishing that seam. It's showing me how I'm finishing the top of it, right? But what am I doing with this? It shows it to me pressed open, and I vividly remember looking at the pictures on this and being like, oh, I press it open. And sometimes it'll even tell you, press open the seam. But then how do I finish it, right? Then what do I do with that? Now, there are different ways to handle it, and I know that now, but could you imagine? You don't even have to imagine. I'm sure a lot of us have done it. You've put the effort in to make this really nice shirt that you're proud of, but you get to the end and you have these like wonky unfinished seams and you wash it and it starts falling apart. Not literally falling apart, but it looks raggedy and yucky on the inside, and over time it will fall apart. And that is such a bummer and can be so discouraging. So when I take the shirt off, I will show you how I handled it. I don't love how the finish is on the inside. I much prefer how Tania did it. You'll have to go over to her channel to check that out. But I just need either a better picture to show me what they want me to do or the good way to do it, or more of an explanation of what to do with the seam that I pressed open and then now have to finish somehow. From the perspective of being a beginner. Like I said, I did it a certain way that I don't exactly love. I like how Tania did it better, but I also have more garment sewing experience now, right? Like I should know how to do it better. I don't know. Okay. The other thing besides not really walking you through how to finish that back opening is it doesn't talk about pattern matching or pattern placement, which 99% of patterns I'm not expecting them to at all. Like that I think is out of the realm of what pattern instructions need to include. But you're showing me an example of it, right? Like you're showing me an example of this beautiful lace blouse. And on the back, in the drawing, it matches up in that center back seam. That was the most time-consuming part of making this shirt for me, truly, was getting everything matched up and trying to make sure I cut it so that things would match up. I succeeded pretty well. It's not perfect, but pretty dang well. But it didn't, that's just something I have to know from myself, right? And you can't just, fold it and cut it, because you have to take into account seam allowance on both sides. So I do think that with this being an example, it warranted some sort of discussion about how to make that happen. I think that's all I have to say for now on that. Basically, I needed to do a better job walking through where your seam transitions, how to finish it when your seam is transitioning from being a seam to then needing to be open for some reason, for a zipper, for an opening like that. It does do a little bit of talking about finishing seams for sheer fabric specifically here. And then really it's just kind of talking about how to finish seams in general. And actually all of these things would not work for what it's talking about. Like it talks about overlock serge, overlock over raw edges of seam, not the fabric, over the raw edges of the seam, double stitch seam, or a French seam. None of those things would work in these situations where you need to transition. I need to connect how you're sewing the seam and finishing the seam with how you are handling vents and openings like that. I need them to do more than just show a kind of bad picture. That's not helpful. Because that's not fair. Having been the person who has no finished seams on this because I didn't know what to do with them, especially in this zippered area, I don't think that's fair. So pause, over. Now let me push the chair back and show you my shirt. Like I said, I did view D from this embroidered border cotton shirting. I will say the border embroidery kind of puckers the fabric near it, obviously, which made cutting it really challenging. I did do these rather voluminous sleeves. The pattern piece is about 5 inches and these are about 9 inches. So they are a little extra long. I wanted to make sure to get as much of the embroidery as possible. I kind of thought about bringing the sleeve down and then having the lace start at the same point, but I didn't think I would like having the ruffle down here. It would start at kind of an awkward place on my arm. The neckline is finished with bias tape. Really nice clean finish. Bust darts. So I did have to do vents because like I said, I really should have gone either back out to an 18 from my waist down, or I should have just done an 18 all the way down and had a little more room on the bust. I do like how the bust fits though. So I did end up having to make some vents there. The side pattern matching is pretty decent. This vent flips weirdly. I need to kind of refigure this out. There's something awkward happening there. And then the back, I don't know if you can see the matching of the scallop down there, but I'm very, very pleased with how that came out. That took so long and so much measuring to make sure that I was able to line that up as well as possible. It's not perfectly lined up here, but it's not a printed pattern I was trying to match. And so with the fact that it is actual like embroidery and thread, there's a lot more variation to it, I found. But yeah, and then, oh, for the back, here's my opening. I do like how it looks from the outside. And then the button I chose is actually from my mother-in-law's stash, you could call it. She gave me all of the buttons she had saved off of her professional attire over the years. She was a paralegal for decades. And so she had really, really nice clothes, and she always saved the buttons. You might have also noticed that I have matching pants, but I'll talk about those at the end of the video. Now I'm going to take this shirt off, put another shirt on, and give you a tour of the inside of the blouse and a little more close up. I am so sorry for this lighting. It is all over the place today. Summer weather. Quick outfit change, and I am back so that we can look a little more closely at some of the details of the shirt. Like I said, it is finished with bias tape. I made my own, and so it's really cute on the bias, this little diagonal that it comes up with by being cut on the bias, I think looks really good. And then this is the area I really want to talk about, right? This transition that I don't like. I chose to serge my seams. I thought about doing a French seam, but with all of the embroidery, I would have had to unpick it at the seam line, and I didn't want to do that. So I just serged the seams. I basted and then serged all of my seams. And they mostly all, I think, look really clean. I mean, it's serged, but all came out really well, except for this area. So I serged and then stopped here. And I did pull the threads back through so that they won't come undone, but then it led to this bulkiness, and then I had to snip right here. Now I did sew over it for the most part when I top stitched this opening, but that's not what the picture in the instructions looks like, right? I did one of their seam finishing methods, but that's not what the picture in the instructions look like. So I don't love it. I don't think it's super clean. You can tell I struggled right here at the bottom to make sure I was catching everything, and I didn't really catch everything. So I probably need to throw some fray check and stuff on there just to try to help it, the longevity of it. But that is my new look 6434 shirt. Like I mentioned, I did also make Simplicity 8841 View A. I showed this fabric when I got the mystery box and I opened it up, and a lot of people suggested using this fabric to make a set, and I had plenty enough to make a set. I played with the stripes a little bit. So on the shirt they are horizontal, which is, this was the grain. So like this was, obviously this was the selvage because it's the border. So I cut these technically, so I cut these on the cross grain. I did the pockets on the grain, and then I did cut off and add the lace to the bottoms, or the embroidered edge to the bottoms. So I had to piece that little bit at the bottom. But I thought that all horizontal would be too much. And I just wanted some vertical for the legs. Very simple pattern. Very simple pattern. I see why it's such a crowd favorite. It comes up a lot. I feel like a lot of people have made this pattern. I definitely see why. I made a size 20 and I used 1/4 inch seam allowance on the crotch to try to give myself a little more space in the bum. Didn't really work out. I think it would serve me better next time to make a size 18, but do a pretty generous full seat adjustment because I have too much fabric in the front. It doesn't really look like it right now, but when I walk, this like clumps up really badly, and then my bum is like eating away at my pants. So I think I just need a good full seat adjustment. The waist is fully elasticated, which I don't love, but I don't hate. Like, I'm probably never gonna wear these, you know, with something fully tucked in. I'll do the little like half tuck and kind of cover it, or wear the matching shirt over it. The whole ensemble is a bit much, depending on environment for me. I wore the whole outfit downtown for brunch a couple weekends ago, and it was fine. Where I live in a beachside town. It's summer, it fit that whole environment, but for my everyday life, definitely will not be wearing the whole getup. It's a bit much, especially with the drama of the sleeves and just all of the striping and stuff. It's a little bit much for me in my everyday life, but it is great for a night out or a brunch out where we live, because we live by the beach. That does it for this video. I had so much fun collaborating with Tania. We got to actually video chat a couple of times. I'll put a picture here of us chatting away. She was so kind and would stay up a little late to talk to me because of the time difference. So we got to chat and have our little sewing book club type situation, and it was really, really fun. Let us know in the comments what you think of our makes. Go head over to Tania's channel if you have not already seen her video, and if you came over here from her channel, thank you so much. I hope you consider hitting the subscribe button and sticking around for future videos. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.